Testing, testing. Can you hear me in the back? Can I get a thumbs up? Perfect, thank you. Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I invite you to stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. I appreciate you all being here tonight. We're a small group, but we're going to get some business done tonight. So I understand there's a need to amend the agenda. Laura, do you have an amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to remove the grants and donations due to we needing 2/3 of the board to vote on that, and we'll need to do that next month.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent Stansted, would you please present the district points of pride?
Yes, happy to do so. Just live streaming, Maggie, just got a note, it's coming or it's going, or I got good audience people who tell us when it's not, so. Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Points of Pride, January 26. In a stiff competition, Discovery Middle School Spelling Bee went 5 rounds before Caleb Danielson took first place with words assignment and syndrome. PJ Vanderheiden was the runner-up. Both students will advance to the regional spelling bee in Fergus Falls in early February. Next up, we have a number of athletes of the week for Central Lakes Conference performers. I'll start with McKinley Helsher in girls basketball. Scored 50 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals in 3 games. Anna Carinta in girls hockey, 2 games, scored 3 goals and 1 assist. Riley Byer was actually athlete of the week twice. And so first round in 3 games, 39 points and 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. Next game, but the next week scored 34 points versus Brainerd and tied a school record with 8 3-pointers. Brody Berg for boys hockey had a hat trick and assist in a win versus West Fargo Cheyenne. Miles Brightsman, boys hockey, had a goal and 3 assists in the same game. Emily Doherty in girls hockey, 2 wins. In 2 wins, recorded 4 points to lead her team. Nolan Fettig in wrestling, his 150th career win by winning 3 matches against St. Paul Harding. That is a heck of an accomplishment by Nolan. Maya Dutton, girls hockey, 2 games, scored 3 goals and had 3 assists. Kira Johnson in gymnastics, a personal best in the all-around at 36.825 and in the bars at 9.3 versus Fergus. Micah Kitzman, boys swim and dive, won the 50 free and 100 back with lifetime best times versus Brainerd. And then Connor Zerbis in wrestling went 3-0 with 2 wins versus CLC opponents. We had Quinn Hills, who's a senior hockey player, girls hockey player for us, was a scholarship recipient from the Shannon O'Hara Foundation as part of Hockey Day Minnesota. Quinn earned this award as a result of her leadership, her work ethic, and the way she supports her teammates and those around her. That concludes our points of pride this evening.
Thank you. And would you please present the consent agenda with that subtraction, I guess?
I'll do. Would ask for, let me get my papers organized here. Ask for the approval of minutes of the regular board meeting on December 15th, as well as the work session on the 16th and the organizational meeting on January 5th. I'd ask for the approval of payment of bills for December 2025. Approve the monthly financial reports for December 2025. I'd ask for the approval of personnel recommendations, which are in your packet. Approval, we're going to pause on the grants, so thanks for adjusting that based on our attendance tonight. I'd like to approve extended field trips. If we could approve those field trips. Fundraising activities. We've got our robotics team and a robot showcase to help offset some of their tournament fees. Independent provider application for archery. I'd ask for that approval. Another great activity with lots of student participation and community support. I'd ask for the approval of first reading of board policies. I'd ask for the adoption of district policies. And then also the school district agreements with this week being around transportation agreement with Alamere Health in the case of a crisis. And that concludes our consent agenda this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I'd like to invite some guests up. So we have Heather Tim and Alexis Baxis here from Woodland to present. Welcome.
Good evening. I appreciate being here tonight and really highlighting the highlight that we have. Am I good?
You can pull it up.
Pull it up.
There you
Thank you.
And you can stand
This
normal.
isn't my go-to of being by microphones quite often, but we do appreciate, Woodland appreciates being able to really celebrate around a grant that was obtained this past school year. It's called our Leaves of Learning Grant. And I have Alexis Backus here with me as we share around the grant. But she will be doing a lot of the sharing because she started this year with a family engagement and SEL specialist role. And we really wanted to highlight some of the benefits that it's bringing to Woodland families, our students, and to develop sustainable service learning opportunities, increase hands-on learning opportunities that are connected to our curriculum, as well as give some of the mental health supports impacting students' academic success. And so actually this summer, as I entered in as principal at Woodland, both Alexis and I, after she was hired, got to meet and just start dreaming a little bit about what is it that we want to bring to Woodland, to the families, to the students, and to the staff, to enhance and improve our student experience. And so we have monthly celebrations where we celebrate students with Cardinal Code Kids. And I actually get to be a big part of that as well. And we celebrate, we'll have our honesty celebration coming up actually at the end of this week. We have classroom family lunch invites. We actually brought back something that had been around where we have really a specialized time for just that classroom to be able to invite families in to eat lunch with their child. And while we love the picnic in the spring, we also love the opportunity to have a smaller setting where we can really have families come and just enjoy eating lunch with one of their children when it's their grade level and classroom time. We've had family events. We had the Woodland Winter Express, which you'll see a little bit more and hear a little bit more about, and we have an upcoming Winter Wander that's scheduled for Thursday, with some snow showing, and we're watching the weather, hoping for a little bit warmer temperatures. And then we have the parent involvement opportunities that Alexis will also share with you. Here we have our Cardinal Code Kids.
So this was the first event that we did back in December for families, so it was open to all Woodland families. We had some cookie decorating, pizza that we provided at the school. We had some DECA students that actually came over and ran book bingo for us. And then with the cookie decorating, we had the high school culinary class make us the frosting, so we didn't have to go out and purchase it. And then there was a winter craft that the kids could do. So we had about 170 people attend this event, so which was pretty good for our first one. Just more pictures of that. Yep, there's the cookies and the pizza. And then bingo. And like I said, we had a couple DECA students who volunteered to come and run book bingo, and it was tied to a literacy thing that they were doing at the high school. So then with that, kind of the goal this year is to collaborate with those community resources. So working with Douglas County Social Services on the attendance side of things. If there's things getting in the way, how can we help get parents and families set up with that? United Way is the Backpack Attack program, so they provide the Friday food bags that go home every day, or every Friday, to students whose parents sign up for them. And then, like I said, the high school has been helping kind of when there's things that we can ask them to do rather than going out, like making the frosting. They did that. And this time around, the middle school is making us Play-Doh for the animal tracks and furs in there. And we kind of pick what's getting in the way of the learning. And then I go in as extra support to kind of help shape those behaviors and allow kids to be more engaged and regulated in what they're doing.
So these activities are done outside of school hours or during school hours?
The Winter Express one that we had was outside of school
Okay.
hours. This one will be as well. But then in February for I Love to Read Month, we're doing a book swap. That will be during school hours.
And then just what's your opinion on the impact on the students?
Well, one thing I didn't talk about as much in depth was that we have a couple students that are maybe had some things in the way preventing them from either wanting to come to school, or when they are at school, it's not their favorite place to be. So we have some attendance incentive plans in where kids come and check in with me in the morning. If there's anything kind of bothering them, we talk through it, get to class, and then at the end of the day, they come and check out and kind of let me know how their day went. And we've seen an increase in their attendance.
Awesome.
That's great. Good. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you there. Next up is Trish. She's going to talk a little bit about our mid-year update on the district's operational plan.
I love following presentations like that because it's from one really good news to more good news, right? And a lot of celebrations in the district.
Love it.
So our mid-year update, and of course this goes along with our strategic plan and our strategic goals. So the first one I'd like to talk about is our student-centered learning. And this year we were fortunate to receive a grant, our ABC grant, so Acceptance, Belonging, Caring, to work with Dr. Yeager and Ty to promote belonging in our schools. And the two schools that have been impacted by this are DMS and then also our Woodland staff. And Dr. Yeager has also been involved in both parent and student focus groups. So we look forward to seeing him again. I think we have another date soon that he'll be back on campus. We've done a lot of great work with promoting student leadership. And the one that's below to highlight is Unified Program. We had that presentation, I think 2 months ago at our board meeting. And what a great opportunity for students to showcase their leadership. The Unified Program has been great at DMS, and we'll see an expansion of that program also in the high school with our general music classes. DMS also has a partnership with World Savvy. And I had an opportunity last week when I was at DMS, and the students were showcasing some of their work that they have done. And as part of one of their courses, they had to look at a community issue and report on that community issue. And we had members of the community, we had parents come in to listen to their presentations. And as seventh graders, they were very articulate and well-spoken and definitely passionate about the different opportunities and the different community issues that they had researched. So as an example, one group, there were two young seventh grade boys that talked about the Carless Fire Department and why the Carless community should support a new fire hall. And another presentation that I listened to had to do with mental health services in schools and why there is a need for that. Another one that I listened to talked about having service dogs in schools. So again, and my ask was, especially with the Carless Fire Department, was, have you had an opportunity to talk to those that are involved in city government? And that was something that they were working on. So I look forward to hearing a little bit more about that possibility for those students. And then also our Envision Math pilot tonight at our district advisory council meeting. Jill Fugelstad came and talked to our parents about our math pilot. She was at our middle school parent meeting this evening as well. And that's really been a change in practice where We used to, in math, talk a lot about drill and kill with math problems and a lot of memorization, and really to take the focus off of that and to have more student-centered learning, more student-centered discussions, collaboration. So I think that's been a real positive as well this year. Family and community engagement, I had referenced our ABC grant with Dr. Yeager. In the fall, we had our Cardinal Community Fest. I know we weren't able to take exact numbers on how many people attended that event, but I would say safely that we had about 1,000 people that attended. It was really well received. As you remember, it was on this positive change. And so again, showcasing that student leadership from our 8th graders, especially for our incoming 6th graders, to have relationships with those students. We've continued REDAC training, and we've expanded that to our paraprofessionals. We've also implemented CAPTI. I've talked about our math curriculum pilot program. We've offered additional courses. One example is in our high school with heavy equipment. We had a presentation regarding that with Matt Zimmerman. We have 22 students that are participating in that class. And we've also added life skills curriculum at our transition center. And again, that was another presentation that we had at one of our previous board meetings. Employee retention and recruitment. We've always had a real strong induction program for our new teachers, and that continues. And thanks to Marcia Andreessen for really heading that up. I think that's been a really valuable experience for our new staff members. We've recruited new bus drivers. We've also offered our employees this year Kavira healthcare program. We've had flexibility with our vector training, so the different policies, procedures that are required for training. We've been able to use that in an online format. Recently, our district staff and our community education colleagues, we completed the COVI training, so the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you walk outside this hallway, you'll see that information, and that was a really great opportunity to learn and to work together as a staff. And also what's been really important, and I think that staff have really appreciated, is providing activity passes for our staff to attend student activities and support our students outside of the school day. As always, it's important to tell our story and to be able to tell all the really great things that are happening district-wide. We have a really strong presence on social media. You'll notice this year with kindergarten recruitment is starting. We have a new video for kindergarten recruitment. We also have new social reels as well as a new kindergarten brochure. Community Ed has a very strong social media presence as well, highlighting the multitude of different programs that are offered for our community members. We continue to have annual academy meetings at the high school, and we have a very strong and active champions committee at our high school as well. And they provide us really with some great feedback. For effective and efficient operations, this last year, we were able to transition our district phone system to WebEx. Our staff with Synergy access, we have a 2-factor authentication to ensure the security of all of our data. We've transitioned from our Raptor emergency management system to Informacast emergency management. We've been able to upgrade our video and sound system at the Performing Arts Center at the high school. And we have investigated software to increase efficiency and effectiveness in our facility planning. So those are just some of the highlights. There are many, many more that I love to spend time talking about. But again, so many really great things to be proud of in our district. And thanks to all the people that make that happen. Every role is important, and every role has a place in this and in our success. So any questions?
Just, I know that we've talked about the CAPTI implementation. Is that with language arts? Is that kind of what that piece is?
Yes.
Okay. And that's like the assessment of?
It is, and it's a screener, so we can use it for dyslexia, but we've also used it, we've replaced that, we've replaced it from the STAR test, and that was really teacher-driven because we feel that the data that we receive is much more beneficial to drive our instruction than what we had before.
Thank you.
I'm curious about the Champions Committee, who's on there and what they kind of do. And
Oh my, we have a lot of community partners, and so we have people involved. We have board members. Angie serves on that committee. We have business owners, healthcare, members of our healthcare community. The chamber is also involved. A member from our city government is also involved. So as an example today, we talked about, we had a presentation from our ACE program, so our work-based learning. We talked about, we asked for feedback with a brochure that we need to send out. Gosh, there's one more other really important one that
so
I'm forgetting.
they kind of help give feedback on like the academy model programming and the offerings there.
They do. And so as another example, Laura, earlier this year for our course offerings, we asked for feedback from them as well. And we also talk about ways to continue to support and partner in the community. So I just find that for us, we have educator eyes, and it's really nice to bring this to our community because they give us a different perspective.
Thank you.
Laura, you may have triggered an idea about training, school board member training, and maybe that would be another piece of the puzzle is to have our new school board members attend a Champions Committee. As long as we didn't have too many there at one time, I think we'd be good with that. And it would. So thanks. Just that question sparked maybe a solution.
Well, I was thinking maybe
Yeah, we
people
can
on
include.
the TV wouldn't know what that was. So
Yeah.
Well,
It's a
could be an
great-
and, right?
yeah.
Could be an and. Thanks.
Yeah,
We can
thanks for
include a
asking
list
the
too of those
question.
that participate in it too. I have it on my phone just from the attendance or the invites for the meeting today. But it's also a couple months ago I'd suggested that we just celebrate those individuals too and just recognize the people that are serving on some of our committees because I think that like you say they bring great ideas and lots of energy and I just think that some recognition would go a long ways too. So.
Thank you.
I had a question about, can I have a question? Sorry. I have a question about Dr. Yeager's work. So is that solely at the middle school, or what schools is he?
It's at the middle school and also at Woodland.
Okay. Great.
And I think really almost back to Alexis's comment earlier around every kid needs an adult, a trusted adult at school, right? And how do we continue to enhance, grow our staff skills around that, connections with students, connections with families? And you heard that from Alexis this morning or shortly a while ago, and that's really the next step in this process. They've done some observations and some focus groups with staff, students, and parents. How do we now take that and put that into action with some tangible steps?
So that makes I thought hearing about it, I thought it was when it said promoting belonging in schools. I thought that was student to student, but you're saying it's more for teachers.
I would say all of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. And as we provide more tools to staff, how do we transition those tools to kids? And I think you'll actually hear, I think one of those strategies will come out here later this evening as well. And some of the work that you've seen at Voyager, and but that's part of is how do you move it to action, right? I think that's the challenge. And I would say not only, particularly in middle school, but not only, right? Elementary school, middle school, high school. How do you take some of that staff knowledge and transition that to? And I think that's where you see pieces around student leadership, different clubs and activities. Do we have a spot for everybody to have a sense of belonging?
Thank you, Trish.
Thanks.
Moving on to action items, we need to approve the first reading of planning assumptions for the 26-27 school year. Can I turn that over to you, Rick?
Yes, happy to do so. And I'll start with general assumptions. So, cabinet members, are you content with? I didn't get to really see anybody since early this morning, but Trish, are you okay going through the staff development ones, sort of at a high level? I know board members have had a chance to look at these, and these are not extremely different because I think they've been a good practice for us. And then Michelle and Jesse, I know there's just some staffing and some special ed, and then I'll tackle the budget side of it as well. So first of all, just general planning assumptions. I think continue to stay true to our mission, vision, values. We've got, I think, good structures in place around our goals in September. We've got some good strategies in place, I think, around our capital projects, amended budgets, some statutory obligations, obviously, with our budget for 26-27. Prepping for the audit as well, with some of that final budget work, and staffing plan, making sure that enrollment, staffing match. I think continuing to work through additional programs. I know we've worked through a number of course changes at our high school. Continue to work through our committee structures. Our leadership teams, our other community partners, whether it's RAID or Lakes Country Service Co-op, using different strategies to solve our challenges. I think just making sure that we continue to follow our decision-making policy, collaboration. And then, it's not a budget year from a legislative standpoint, but we'll see what shakes out here this spring from a legislative standpoint and embed any adjustments we need to embed as we go forward. On that general side, if Trish, if you're okay, just walking us through some of the school improvement or staff development pieces. And again, much of that would be similar to this 25-26 school year, but if you're okay. And I think you got to go up and use the microphone again, sorry. Yeah.
Could have just stayed up here.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry, no, that's okay. With school improvement, we'll continue to use our QComp funds. And again, as we set with our QComp, it will be measurable goals. We have a teacher evaluation process plan. We'll continue to do that. Within staff development, I think it's important to provide a high level of professional development to staff, and we have a process in place where we use our building leadership team as well as working with instructional coaches. And as you know, we present the building level goals to the board, and those are approved. And if there's improvement plans, we're coming forward and talking to the board and presenting those to the board and the community.
And next,
I think
next you get to turn it over to Jesse.
I get to go to Jesse.
Yeah.
Mine was easy.
This is like a tag team effort.
That's what I was saying. Can I start with you?
Good evening. So when we look at the planning assumptions for staffing, really at a high level, we're adjusting our staffing to align with our enrollment projections and current enrollment numbers. We're also looking at retirements, leaves of absence, who's coming, who's going, that type of thing. And really who's moving around. Oftentimes there's movement across the district in terms of different placements and things. And then we've got our grant-funded positions and just reviewing those to make sure we're continuing to get funding for the positions that are currently supported with those funds. And then, of course, and Michelle will elaborate a little bit further, but looking at special ed and looking at our caseloads and the funding we receive for those positions. So those are the assumptions we'll take forward with our staffing for 26-27.
Good evening. I'm just going to move it ahead here. So, as Jesse said, in special education, we look at 3 specific areas. We look at staffing, we look at staff development, and then we also look at our kind of continuous improvement. And we are in monitoring this year for special education in both fiscal and program monitoring. So we will take that information from the Minnesota Department of Education as well when we look at these areas. So there's a long list we look at with staffing. So we look at child count, we look at caseloads, we look at itinerant needs, the level of service. So if we kind of the need and resource versus our center-based classrooms versus how many students are leaving our district to attend Setting 4 programs. We work with Lakes Country in Runestone Area Ed District through the Minnewaska School District for our day treatment program. And then we also work with Runestone Area Ed District, which we call RAID, for some of our itinerant staffing as well. So that is some of the factors that go into looking at staffing. And then, as I mentioned a little bit, we are looking at school improvement through our continuous improvement plan through the Minnesota Department of Education this year, both in that program area and also in the fiscal area, which goes into our total special education system, our TSES, which we post on the website. So if you want to look at some of those factors, you can look at that as well. And then staff development. We'll continue to focus in special education in those needs for reading, math, functional skills. As Trish said, we've adopted a new curriculum at the Transition Center, which is going really well. And we're excited about that specifically. With our budget, it depends on both federal and state funding for that, so we'll be looking at that. I just want to point out in the past, in number 4 there, we've estimated that at 100%, but due to some of the funding that was decreased last year, we're going to look at that at 98% of the funding that we get this year, because we had that adjustment from the Minnesota Department of Education last year. So we'll definitely be looking at that at a lower percentage as we're predicting for the next year. And then our CEDRA goes into that as well. And then also looking at additional revenue that's coming in, which we hope to see through third-party billing, which is the billing to medical assistance that's carved out for education. So if you remember, we have added some positions specifically to target that. So we're expecting some of that revenue to come in at a higher rate this year. So we'll also be looking at that as we look at staffing this year and what are our needs in the future. So any questions with special education?
Michelle, I know they took back some of the special ed money last year. Do you see that happening? Do you hear anything about that as far as another go-around this year, or is that come up at all?
We haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
And so that was my recommendation to Rick, is that we really look at 98% instead of that 100% going in.
Yeah.
I think is beneficial for our district, because we are at that kind of point where that could be back down again. And it essentially, instead of getting 100% of the funding, we were around that 96% of what we say allocated to our district. And we did not see that go up going into this year. So we made adjustments to the budget before Trevor left, going into this year.
Yep.
And so I would recommend that we would continue that adjustment going into next year as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the state legislature charged a blue ribbon panel. Is that my correct vocabulary, Michelle? Of finding $250 million of special ed reductions across the state, and it'll be really interesting. I know that when we met with our legislators, we did talk. We made sure they understood what ADSIS is, which is really that trying to intervene before students qualify for special ed. And it'll be a really interesting legislative session when it comes to those special education reductions and the $250 million. And so we'll see as we get rolling with the legislative session to see how that plays out. But I think Michelle's assumption of expecting not 100% is a good one. So.
Do you know, Michelle, it's surprising to me that this is where the state is choosing to lower the budget. We know needs were greater after COVID, and we saw some improvement, like from early ed, they saw an improvement in needs, and now again, there's, for an unknown reason, a higher level of needs. So I'm wondering statewide, I mean, is this Blue Ribbon Committee looking at need versus dollars, like rise in need versus, I mean, or how can we communicate with them, or?
And they will open it up for what I would say comment after the committee meets and they make recommendations. 'Cause that's the process oftentimes with the committees that go on. I have just a minimal amount of information based on individuals that I collaborate with as other directors that sit on that committee. And as Rick said, right now, I know they're looking at that ADSIS. We also know they're looking very closely at transportation. Special education is funded at 100% or 98% with transportation. And so those are some of the areas that they're looking at right now. And I would agree with you, Laura. Those are some of the concerns that, I have as a director as rising costs go up with special education. You think about the things we need, tables that, go elevate so that we are effectively able to provide personal cares for students. The cost of those are continually rising. And so certain needs like that are beyond even the instruction is a concern that we have. So
Maybe that's something we can organize around, or.
And really what you're doing is you're providing some advice, right, to the legislature and to the governor, essentially on what should be cut.
Correct.
Or where you see,
or where they see it, the commission that is.
We would love to have had Michelle on the Blue Ribbon panel, but none of us got an invitation. So yeah, we'll continue to advocate through our peers for sure.
And we have effective ways of doing that. Both Rick and I feel through MASA and through MACE, which I am a part of as a special education director. We feel that we have representatives that are speaking out.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, some of our needs in the district. So I feel very confident in a number of those individuals. But yes, when they have comments, I would encourage people to comment because it is a need. We have a need.
Yeah, if that comes up, maybe we can get it in our weekly.
Yes.
Yeah, happy to. Either way, whatever the news is, happy to share that.
Thank you.
I'm continuing. Yeah, I get to wear multiple hats tonight. So I think, and again, I think Michelle's planning around the special education piece. Similar, I would say, a conservative approach as we go forward. We obviously have our fund balance policy. See some target dates there as well on the revenue side. I think one of the pieces is really about trying to estimate our enrollment, and you can see there on the APU side, we've gone from 4310 to 4182, and so that is, I would say, is a very conservative approach from an enrollment standpoint. And again, I guess that's what I'd put on the table, and I do think, as a school district, you really don't want to be caught on the other side of that, if you will. You want to make sure you're estimating your enrollment in a way that where your enrollment matches your planning and budgeting. So I think just for the board to be aware that is I think a spot that I would, at least on the administrative side, if that can help us get to that fund balance policy, that's why that's there. Michelle mentioned special education aid. Continue our title funding. The federal government uncertainty is still present, and I think just to continue to be paying attention from a legislative standpoint. And then we've got some pieces around there around our food service fund, community service fund, which is Lynn's department. We don't have any planned construction for 26, 27, and then the rest of the pieces really around our levy. We'll continue. I know Jesse and a team around our self-insured health insurance and dental model. And we've got good membership from our union leaders around that as a committee as well. So I think we meet this week. Okay, Wednesday. All right. So the world goes fast. So, and then OPEB and student activity funds as well. On the expense side, again, mentioned the capital projects piece. I know we're still working through contract negotiations with groups, and with staffing being 80% of our expenditures typically. I think just to be prepared for that. You see that we haven't made a change based on the teacher contract around expenses in the general fund. That we have a placeholder there, but that those actual dollars would come out once we settle the 25 to 27 teacher contract. Continue to monitor all the enrollment pieces, operational costs, the deferred maintenance piece. Continue to monitoring all of our debt from different school projects or HVAC projects. Our Discovery and Lynn and I just were reflecting a little bit on the volume of usage that those two gyms and the gymnastics center. I saw Shenanigans was packed on my way in here, and just know that we're continuing to manage that debt. But I think just thanks to the board for their foresight to go through with those projects, as we're seeing some community benefit there. Staff Development Fund, really based on that 2% statutory requirement. Continue to maximize grant expenditures. I appreciate what Michelle said. We also don't want to staff in areas where we don't have confirmation of the grant, right? You don't want the expenditure without the revenue. So just making sure that we're staying the course on those pieces. And then you see some also the debt service fund, which is really around Woodland and the high school, and some other pieces around our student activities and OPEB. So thanks to our team here tonight for tag teaming the presentation and sharing the details, and any other good questions on the special education side. Any other questions for board members at this time?
I think the planning assumptions have served us well for a lot of years.
Yeah, they're really helpful on the administrative side to create sort of those guardrails for administration at board direction. So just would say thanks for this tradition almost to some degree, right, in a good way.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the planning assumptions for the 26-27 school year?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have Jesse is going to present a resolution, the first of three that we typically pass in the spring. So,
Yeah, good evening. I'm here to request approval for the resolution that would be directing administration to make recommendations regarding the reduction and our discontinuation of programs and positions as we look ahead to the upcoming school year. This is an annual resolution. The adoption of it simply allows our team to move forward with budgeting, staffing, goal setting, and everything for the 26-27 school year. So, any questions?
who'd like to adopt that motion, or adopt the resolution, excuse me?
I'll move that we adopt the resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second to that? I'll second. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to communication items. Rick, administrative team updates, please.
Yeah. First one this evening is I want to do a little celebration. So board members throughout their tenure can achieve different milestones through the Minnesota School Board Association. And so I want to recognize board member Laura Knudsen. First of all, with the completion of Minnesota School Board Association Phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 trainings. And then, hold on, we got one more. There's also ways for board members to earn points by engaging in different sessions. And so, Laura, you've also earned 100 points from MSBA sponsored sessions to improve individual performance. So
Thank you so
I'm going
much.
to present. Actually, Angie, would you be willing to present? That's good. Good. Yeah, we should give a round of applause to that. Lifelong learning is on the wall behind us, so we got to make sure we appreciate our board members continue to engage in that. Speaking of gratitude, we also celebrated Paraprofessional Appreciation Week last week, and just I think Trish, maybe you mentioned this earlier, like the role that everybody has and their impact, I would say, on our young people. And I was at Carlos this morning, and you never know as a paraprofessional. I think, Laura, right, you've done this role in the past, and you don't quite know what you're getting into on a daily basis. So today was first graders at Carlos, and Julie was there, and she was doing tech support this morning. As all the first graders were bringing their Chromebooks back from e-learning day on Friday, and she just jumps in, and I think that's the spirit of our paraprofessionals. They're just there to give kids what they need in the moment. And I thought I saw Jolene out there. Jolene, are you still here? It's our paraprofessional union leader. So just want to take a moment to say thanks to our paraprofessionals, and I know we had different celebrations across the district depending on the school or department. So just a crucial part of the work that we get to do with kids. DECA, we had our annual Shark Tank and now annual Fish Bowl for the juniors, and I know a number of you had a chance to attend, and amazed every year at the talent, the community feedback, the time, and the commitment of so many adults in the community to help make those amazing experiences for kids. We've got planning for 26-27, so I did send a screencast to staff. I'll look to update one for parents as we get our parent communication out after the board meeting. So I think parents just would ask you to invest a little time. There's a 10-minute, I get capped at 10 minutes because that's what Google Vid does to make sure we're efficient with our words and our actions. But appreciated staff engaging in that, and would ask for parents to check that out later this week. I mentioned Champions Committee today. Again, some good feedback, and again, we had a great presentation. We have an ACE class, community engagement, work-based learning, and students that in 9th grade, if you would have told us that they were going to get up in front of a group of community leaders and talk and give a presentation, I think their teachers would have said, that's not going to happen. And that is exactly what happened today. And it just, I think that inspiration and partnership with families, and then with community, we've got so many community partners that have stepped up to help launch this ACE program at the high school. So super fun to hear about that today. Angie and I were just out at Carlos. Boy, the snow was really blowing across the road on the way back. Holy cow, I did not know that there was a weather situation brewing. So that was our third community meeting, and just thanks to the Carlos community for leaning in, and the staff and the parents. So we'll do some data collection, and we'll come back and have some additional information for the board as we go to next month's meeting. Start of the second semester is always super fun. Second half of the school year, middle school, high school kids rotating classes. Some happier, some not. I'm excited. I might get a piece of art, pottery at our house by the end of the semester, so excited for that to happen. One Act, is that tonight? Yeah, so we had to reschedule due to the weather, but I know that's a big event, and we'll be interested to hear the results. We'll be able to report on that next month. I know we had parents from Carlos who had older kids, and they were headed to the district-wide band concert. There's not enough days in the week to fit in all the activities, but I'm sure the concert is going well as we speak. Our first e-learning day in almost 3 years. If it was awesome, we do it every day. We don't, because it's a tool that we have in the toolbox to help keep us out of June to some degree from a school standpoint. Super interesting We know that kindergarten, first grade, it is clearly not the ideal model. Thanks to our kindergarten and first grade teachers, parents, paraprofessionals, students, grandparents, right? It is a team effort on those e-learning days, and obviously the weather Friday was beyond cold. And then I checked in with the rest of the grades at Carlos. The third graders wanted more math. The second graders were super excited because I don't think they had an e-learning experience, but they're pretty darn independent. Fourth and fifth graders still pretty excited, and then you end up going through probably sixth grade, and then you get to seventh grade, and the excitement maybe not quite as great, but sort of maybe a natural progression of teenage behavior at that point. But just appreciated. Clearly, we know in advance about weather events. This is one we did. So thanks to our staff for really getting their brains going Wednesday as we were working with our regional partners around that, and just sent a note to staff today if they had any additional feedback. And I know Trish and our instructional coaches and our principals do a great job of helping create that plan. So ideally, we're not having to use that and implement that very frequently, but we did here last week. MSBA conference, just would welcome board reflections on that. And then Friday, it was super interesting. So as the superintendent on an e-learning day, my day did not change one iota. It was exactly the same. We were all still in the same meetings. But one of the exciting parts is, as elementary principals, is we got to meet with our instructional coaches and really looking at all of our data. Really, we just conducted assessments in reading and math at the elementary level, and it's super. It's amazing to see the data and the growth, and so we see pockets of like, all right, we are knocking it out of the park. We also see pockets of, hey, we've got some work to do, and let's make sure we're supporting our teachers to make sure we get that data go in the right direction. And I say that this evening in part because what will happen on Wednesday is we'll have a 2-hour late start, and that really allows our teachers to dig into that data on an individual basis and make sure that we're tailoring, to use a word from behind me, tailoring the learning for our kids. And so know that Friday, from a teaching and learning standpoint, we were highly engaged in that. Those assessment results also have gone home to parents in preparation for conferences coming up. And again, we'd love to try to hit that target of 100% of parents being engaged at conferences, and those will come up here in a few weeks. And again, appreciate staff as they're prepping for those conference experiences and those partnerships at the elementary level, and then the secondary level, really how do we transition some of that into some of the registration pieces at the high school, and hopefully helping kids find their passion and able to execute on that. My administrative reports. I do have Alexis, who was here earlier. She didn't remember if it was first grade or third grade, but I have a young man who's been hypercritical of my weather calls. So I'll be sure to check on future meteorologist probably. So it's going to be fun. She's going to set up a meeting with him, and I'll get to get some. It's really a science lesson, right, when it comes to weather and how we decide weather calls. But it'll be fun to sit down with him and help him understand here's the science behind all the weather calls, and which is why we didn't make a call for today, this morning. If you were looking at the predictions last night, I think we would have said we're going to be 2 hours late. A bunch of us woke up at 4:45 this morning in the region and said, I think we're going to be okay. And so we were able to be on time today, which so it'll be fun to share that with one of our curious Woodland students, which will be good. So that concludes my administrative report.
Awesome. Thank you. School board reports. Sean.
I was at the Minnesota School Board Association Annual Leadership Conference down in the Twin Cities, and just attended some very interesting workshops on some districts that went out for levies and different things. I also was at the Region 8AA Minnesota State High School League meeting just this past week. And the majority of the time at that meeting was talking about co-ops, how those work. There was one of the issues that came up with that, and also just scheduling, really. It's amazing how much scheduling goes into the tournaments and all that type of thing. And of course, the weather was approaching, so there were some immediate conversations about schedules for WINAC and so forth. Went to the Fishbowl. My wife, Christine, had a team from Habitat for Humanity, Douglas County, that ended up winning that competition. And so it was fun to see. I knew what they were doing throughout their process, so it was kind of fun to see their presentation, plus many others, and always so impressed with just the speaking skills and presentation styles of our students. I'm just, just proud of what they do. Went to the one act play, the public show, very impressive, very good. Be very curious to see how they do tonight. I think they're up in Brainerd. And some other committees, Community Ed Advisory Council, our local government committee, and that type of thing.
I was also able to attend the MSBA training in Minneapolis, and I completed my phase 3 training. I went down a day before so I could do that. I went to a couple of sessions, one on Minnesota paid leave law. That was a lot. That's an understatement, I should say. Another one was on AI integration, and we discussed how to wisely integrate AI into education, and that was a good learning for me also. I think one of my highlights was Angie and I got to meet Dr. Verna Cornelia Price and brother Shane Price, and they founded a program at Minneapolis North High School with boys taking action, they called it, and girls taking action. So they could provide mentorship, motivation, empower, and engage, educate the students so they can provide career readiness, and just making them feel like they have a community they belong to at school and outside of school. And we talked to them extensively about the fact that they've extended the program from North High School into the St. Cloud schools. And they had some very passionate ladies that were working with them to engage all the kids and just kind of expand that program. So that was really good. I was able to attend Shark Tank also, and it always amazes me their public speaking and memorization skills. At that age, that was not even on my radar as far as being able to memorize all that in that short amount of time. They did very good. It was very impressive. And yeah, it was a good month.
Thank you. Laura.
I didn't go to the MSBA conference this year, but I did continue learning. I attended an online class with Georgetown University. It's called they have an Edunomics lab, so it's the economics of education. And then I've dug into some of their they've got some videos stored from past. So much to take from them. I think one of my big takeaways was that our district really is on the ball. There's a lot of things that other school districts across our nation are dealing with. Everybody's dealing with budget cuts, but we've been very proactive in many different areas they talked about, and the way we used our COVID funds has not set us up for some of the issues other districts are having across the nation. So that was it's very reassuring to be on those kind of calls and to feel like, oh, my district is on top of that. One thing they did bring up too that was really interesting to me and something I think we should maybe take a look at is they really emphasize that, as a management group, as a oversight group, we hire finance people and a superintendent to take care of the budgets, but ultimately that it really is our responsibility, and that we should, in these times when it's tough, that we should really be trying to participate more and trying to, these budgets are not necessarily easy to understand, but really to give, they said across the nation, school boards are not giving enough input. And they also very much encouraged tying the budget to outcomes. So in the budget and finance committee meetings, like, we should be talking about outcomes, and they gave a whole bunch of different things to look at and things to think about. One of the biggest things that in everything that I've watched over this last month was making sure you're doing everything you can to strengthen the Tier 1 education, so your standard classroom education, because special education is so much more costly. So that was very interesting to listen to. So they do have a lot of stuff online. You can sign up for notifications when they have other live events, but Edunomics Lab.
Yep.
There you go.
Maggie, if we can, it's a really, you can get lost for a long time, but super interesting resources. If we can throw that in the weekly update this week, if we can throw a link in there, Laura, thanks.
Thank you. So I attended MSBA as well, and I think I one of the sessions I attended was on Lake City and how they presented a dashboard to the community about how kids can be college and career ready. And I just think it's something that we could use. We have the data warehouse that can manage the data for us, and I think that I'd really like us to look into that. I think that there's an opportunity there for our community to see what our kids are doing. And another session I went to, a roundtable that it talked about board members being able to attend meetings remotely. So tonight we have a couple board members that probably could attend remotely if we were able to do that. So there's some rules that go along with it, but it's much easier to do it this year. So I'd like us to look into that and just be prepared to be able to have board members be able. It doesn't happen that often, and we have a quorum tonight, obviously. But I think that there's opportunity for that to happen. So I'd like to look into that. There's just a lot of learning that goes on. I think that it's interesting to see what other districts are doing and what we can bring to our district from that as well. Our robotics team was there. So Jenny Engel brought some students and our robotics program down there, and with other districts as well, just to present and kind of showcase what our students are doing. And they've done this for a couple of years, and it's just really neat to see our students present. So fun opportunity for them. They're on their feet all day for 2 days, but I think it was a worthwhile experience for them as well. I also attended DECA. I spent about 6 hours looking at seeing the DECA students as well as the fish tank, and amazing what our students are doing. I know that Ellen missed it, but it is recorded, and what an opportunity for those students, and just the skills that they're learning from that program is amazing. And Carlos. I've been out there. I've attended all 3 meetings so far. There's a lot of energy by staff out there, and I think that the community is very engaged. Parents are considering it and having lots of questions, and but there's just a lot of excitement and energy out there, so it's exciting to see that going on as well. So Rick indicated we'll be doing a survey and just to collect some more data, but just looking at that as an option. I think that it's important in this time that we have, there's school choice. I mean, we need to be innovative with what we're offering, and if we can do something different and attract more students to that school, I think that's what we need to do, right? Certainly not our first choice to close a school or anything like that. So families understand that we need to be innovative and attracting students there. So I think that's about all that I have. Our next board meeting will be February 23rd, and then we're going to move on to delegations and individuals. I'd like to invite Flora Vargas up, please.
So I am here as a parent to express serious concerns about how racism and racially motivated bullying are being addressed within our school district. This follows a previous incident involving my daughter that was reported through the appropriate channels. While the incident itself wasn't harmful, the response left our families feeling unheard and powerless, an experience that many families from minority communities recognize all too well. We want incidents to be addressed meaningfully, not simply acknowledged. Recently, after I shared my concerns publicly, the response from the community was significant. Many parents reached out privately to share similar experiences, A consistent theme emerged: a lack of communication between schools and parents, reports that do not result in visible correction or consequences, and uncertainty about whether racism and bullying are being taken seriously. For a family like ours, this reinforces the feeling that because we are part of a minority, our voices carry less weight. No parent should feel that advocating for their child's dignity and safety requires extraordinary persistence. No student should feel invisible within the very system meant to protect them. These concerns directly relate to the district's Bullying Prevention Policy 514, which outlines the responsibility to prevent, address, and respond to bullying, including behavior motivated by race or ethnicity. When incidents are reported and there is no clear follow-up, correction, or communications, families are left questioning whether this policy is being enforced as written. These responsibilities are also supported by Minnesota's Safe and Supportive Schools requirements and federal non-discrimination protection. Racism is not always overt. It often appears in repeated comments or behaviors that, when left uncorrected, send a message that such conduct is tolerated. Silence or inaction can be as harmful as the behavior itself. We respectfully ask the district to ensure Policy 514 is enforced consistently and transparently. This includes mandatory and ongoing cultural sensitivity and anti-bias training for staff, the immediate removal of racial derogatory comments from student spaces when identified, consistent follow-up on student and parent reports, and improved communication with families so accountability is clear. We also encourage the use of restorative justice practices when appropriate to promote responsibility, learning, and healing rather than silence or inaction. We want to feel empowered, respected, and confident that our concerns matter. Our children deserve school where equity is practiced, not just promised. So what I ask is we need consistent enforcement of Policy 514 and transparent follow-up and accountability.
Thank you, Flor, for being here. I appreciate you getting up. I know it's hard to be in this, to bring your situation into this forum, but please know that we certainly care about your students' experience and every student that's here. Kids should be safe here, right? And we want them safe here, and we have a lot of caring adults that want that for your kids as well as any other children. We certainly don't promote bullying or racism. We want to address it as much as you do, and we have staff here that want that same thing as well. I'm just going to encourage administration. I mean, I believe that you've been in contact with administration, and I want to make sure that they're addressing your concerns and that that we are able to help out with that.
I'd echo that. Thanks for having the courage to come tonight and share your experience. And then I'd just say how we've got to figure out how to get better, close those communication loops. I know that we've got caring administration, but how do we make sure that that turns into results for your family? So appreciate your courage this evening.
We just feel like when the things are addressed, we don't get any follow-up. Like in that case of my daughter, that was not like something small. That parent actually texted my daughter accusing her of her starting or being too dramatic over some, I guess, Trump issues. That girl still was in the classroom and nothing was done to her. No punishment, no correction. So now when I ask my daughter, like, hey, is she still doing things? She just says that she laughs or she shout this behavior against her, and I asked, like, do you have to report this, Denise? And she doesn't want to, because why? Nothing was done. And that's what other people are also saying. Like, we just had one incident last night that a mom called me and she said that one student was telling her daughter about, oh, ICE is gonna come and get you. Is that kid gonna get punishment? Like, nothing, we don't see that. So that's setting an example of other kids. Okay, that's being tolerated, or they're not getting any punishment, and they continue.
I would second that. It's not just Warner family; it's families we hear from, and kids that I have in school that are kids of color. They didn't want to go to school this whole time, and they've been also retaliated from parents. So that there's parents of kids that are learning this behavior and encouraging the behavior in their children, and then they don't want to report, the kids don't want to report because they get more bullying from other students and even adults.
Rick, is this something we can dig into a little more, either through a work session or maybe a listening session or some sort of?
Yeah, I think those are all good ideas going forward, and that's part of. And you heard about the ABC grant. That was part of the work. How do we make sure, to your point, that every student has a trusted adult, that there's confidence in our work to support them and their learning and families as well. And if that isn't your current experience, we got some work to do, right?
I have ideas. I'd be willing to volunteer time, provide education for staff. I could be a part of it if needed.
Yeah.
I have people to reach out to. I think it starts with education of our own internal staff. Like, I know people's hearts are in the right place, but it is just a matter of like ways and words that we can like implement, because I don't think any of the kids are going to go to anybody at this point.
Well,
It's up to us.
yeah. So we would welcome your partnership. I know Dr. Perry there, we've got a couple, particularly middle school educators here, and I think we'd be happy to brainstorm. I know we have a caring staff at the middle school, and how do we get that to be into action as we go forward? And happy to, we can even connect here after the meeting if that's okay.
Absolutely. And
Great.
I know budget is hard, times are hard. I'd be willing to donate personal time to work with people. I'm not accusing, I think none of us are accusing the school or the staff. It's just we need to implement better solutions.
Yeah, that's part of the feedback, right? We get feedback, and then how do we
Be better.
have it be different? Yeah, be better. Well said.
And
So,
also, there was a meeting that maybe one parent over there and us too, we were included in a meeting, maybe like around October, or I can't remember, with two gentlemen in the middle school.
yeah, so that's Dr. Yeager and Ty Ora. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So that was part of what you heard in our report today, and that's we talked a little bit about that. The next steps is how do we help some of their expertise inform staff actions to help make sure that every student has a sense of belonging. So that is, thank you for participating in that, by the way. And I think you're right. This is going to be an ongoing conversation, and I think that continued feedback and partnership with you as families, as parents, along with your kids. And I know particularly once we get to middle school, that relationship with and I remember Dr. David Walsh used to say that the job of the middle schooler was to, or the middle schoolers often ask for a divorce from the parents, and the job of the parents is not to grant it, right? And so, and how do we have that be true with school staff as well in those relationships with our middle schoolers? And again, I know we've got a caring team. How do we take that care and turn it into action and results? So, and would welcome your partnership going forward.
I know we generally don't ask questions, but would you mind if I ask?
Yeah,
Did you
I think
find
this
that
is a good-
October meeting helpful or productive at all? Or, I mean, what did you think
It
of?
was just a gathering, it was really
Okay.
good. And
Okay.
I think they were supposed to do like a follow-up, but we didn't hear like any of the
Okay.
results.
Okay.
We're in the process of the follow-ups. I think.
Okay.
And
Well said.
also, there was another incident which this is related to staff, but I feel like even like political views should be away from schools. If you guys or any teachers are here, they're here for students, not for anything else. And there was an incident that the same girl who was getting bullied because of eyes, she says that there is a paraprofessional that keeps kind of always like trying to get her in trouble, and she feels targeted.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's the reasoning because she doesn't want to speak up, and that's not right.
So
Maybe just more education on staff that
so oddly enough, obviously, events over the weekend, I just sent a note to staff around behavior of staff in politically charged environments, which I would argue we are in right now. So I actually just sent a reminder, and I'm happy to share that with you if you wanted to take a look at it at some point. And I just I texted Angie last night, and said, hey, are you okay if I send this to staff? And worked with our teacher union as well, and just trying to be proactive around that, knowing that today was, I just think in Minnesota right now, it's very politically charged, and how do we keep the focus on teaching and learning, right? Yeah, so thank you for that. So I'm glad we were able to act on that this morning, and happy to share that with you too as well, so you can understand what message staff received this today. So, and I know, so part of the challenge too, so all this is live streamed, so I know we had another parent stand up. So if you're okay, if we just hang out and talk a little bit and sort of end the board meeting, and then we can continue the conversation if that's okay. It just might be a little more comfortable for you as parents sometimes. So
Thank you for.
Yeah. So if we want to,
Okay.
Angie, if you want to.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
So if you had another comment. Yeah.